All right, I just got back from Mexico. I'm having a great day. I'm just sitting out watching the beautiful view back in the United States. And in this video, I wanted to say a couple things. Number one, I got a brand new video with Lynette Zang coming out very soon. We're going to be going to her actual bug out house. And so if there's any things that you want discussed, make sure you give us a comment right there down below and let us know. The second thing, this is one of the best clips from my most recent episode with Lynette. We have so many new people coming to the channel, and the interviews are also so long that so many people don't listen to them. A lot of the big channels like Joe Rogan and those channels, they run clips channels where they post like the most important, powerful things. I'm a one-man show, so instead I'm putting the clip up on this episode. I promise you're going to absolutely love this one. Even if you've already seen it before, it's very important to watch again. And then the last thing I want to say is Lynette and her team at ITM Trading, they actually have a really powerful wealth strategy calls where they actually break down your gold and your silver and your financial strategy as we enter this possibility of runaway devaluation of currency, economic collapse, what have you. They have a complimentary call to help you set all that up. That's what Lynette and her team do. That's Lynette's mission, is helping people prepare financially, put together their financial gold and silver plans. So they have a complimentary call for that. It's right there down below. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. I absolutely recommend that you do that. Last but not least, hit the like button on this video. Give us a comment down below that says Lynette rules, and I hope you enjoy this clip. Let's talk a little bit about gold and about silver specifically. Now, when I saw that they bought $50 million worth of gold for a Black Swan, and knowing what I've learned about you about these histories of resets, they always end in a revaluation of the price of gold to basically create some level of social trust if it's needed to usher people into the new system.
It's always needed, Jake.
Say that again, please.
By the time they do that revaluation, that level of trust is absolutely required because it's a con game. So when confidence is lost, it is not easy to get back. So that's why they have to always put gold into it when they're fully done with the revaluations.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I remember hearing people talk about that, like, yeah, one day it'll be revalued. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And now watching what's unfolding more and more and more, it seems like it's also one of the only ways that they can move people back into the system. And if they're printing this much money, all these things are taking place. It may be needed. So, I know you've studied history. So tell us about this, how this has happened in the past, and this idea of a resetting of gold and those types of things.
I think it's really interesting. But again, we've been born into a system and taught that the lie is the truth. So when a well-packaged web of lies has been sold gradually to the masses over time, the truth will seem outrageous and the speaker a raving lunatic. That is not my quote, but it is a perfect quote. So it has actually been happening to you, Jake, and to everybody that's listening since the day you were born through inflation, because inflation resets the value of the government money by design. So that the dollar bill that used to buy $1 worth of product, now 3 cents. That's all that's left officially. So it's worse than that. Less than 3 cents of the original value. The difference, and I have this discussion with Eric or other people on a pretty regular basis, because for me, being alive in the 70s, inflation was a very dirty word because we were dealing with 45% inflation during that time when they were going through the restructuring. So understand that resetting of the currency by design through inflation was part of the big experiment that started in 1913. When Nixon handed over, when he closed the gold window, which doesn't sound so bad, but what he really did was hand over inflation to the central bankers. The tool that they use to control the rate and speed of inflation are interest rates. Well, they're talking about, Fed Chair Powell is talking about tapering the bond purchases. So right now they're buying $120 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities. So that supports the real estate market, and treasuries. So that supports the government's spending. And when he's talking about tapering, all they're talking about is not buying as much, but they're going to go super slow. So they're not even talking about interest rates. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put my neck on the line. I did it when they tried to raise interest rates and run off their balance sheet starting in 2016. It will not work, because that will create an implosion in the stock market particularly, as well as the bond markets if they start raising rates. There's way too much debt out there for people to be able to, or corporations or governments, to be able to roll that debt over at a higher interest rate. Before we know it, and it's already been happening in a lot of places, the interest on that debt starts to take away the tax income for governments that they would spend on social programs, etc. So, when I'm looking at a reset, the difference between inflation and hyperinflation is the speed of the inflation. The difference between hyperinflation and a reset is the speed at which that currency goes to zero. That means nobody accepts it. Nobody wants it. They don't want, the wheelbarrow has more value than the paper money in there or the digital money. They don't want it to happen before all of the money is in digital form. All the money except this and this is in digital form, because then where do you go? Then you go directly to barter. If you can't buy anything with their money, then you go directly to barter. And that is why gold and silver are really so important, because they are universally accepted. If you look at the Bank for International Settlements money flower, well, they have a little place for cryptocurrencies. They have the biggest space for CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and they have a bigger space, not than their money, but commodity money, gold and silver, they have a bigger space for that than they do for cryptocurrencies. I think that's really interesting, and I think that's also really telling. So, what I see is hyperinflating away the value of the money. We are already at a very critical point where confidence is being lost in that confidence loss is happening globally and is happening in a much more rapid way. That is dangerous for central banks and governments because it's a Ponzi scheme. So it requires public confidence. When the public loses confidence, then they have to back the currency with gold again to get that public confidence back. Because even though we've been trained not to think of gold as money, it's in our DNA. It's been real money far longer than government money has been. And so just like the fireside chat when Roosevelt, after the confiscation, and you can use the new money again because it's backed by good money, meaning the gold that they just confiscated from everybody. So this is something that's happened 100% of the time, because if you don't trust the currency and you don't trust the government and you don't trust the bankers, you're not using their money. You're bartering with your skills. You're bartering with your stuff, tangibles. You're bartering with things that people need and want, and that holds its value better than those pieces of paper or in digital form. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's the intent. lose the value fast enough for people to notice it, so they go out and they spend it. And have you noticed how shocked globally governments have been about both the speed and the height of the inflation that's coming through right now? And all those numbers are jury rigged, so it's worse. And the loss of confidence. Have you noticed they're saying, wow, this was a lot more than we expected, right? A lot higher inflation, a lot lower confidence numbers. Consumer confidence numbers came in. I just briefly looked at it before we went on air, but they expected it to be 123 consumer confidence levels, and it came in at like 113. That's way below expectations. And what that means is that if consumers are not comfortable and confident about their future income or about their future prospects, they're not spending the money. That's a problem when you're in a consumer-driven economy.
So do you think that when the Federal Reserve created in 1913, this move towards this centralized financial system, do you think that it was created with this in mind, or it just became okay, so talk to me about that.
I don't even have to think about that one. I've studied that so much. Yeah, they absolutely, there were two big issues that they wanted to deal with. Number one, they wanted to be able to tax the population more. And number two, corporations wanted to pay the public less, their workers less. So yes, 100%. When you read the documents as they were creating this, they knew that people marry the legal money of the state. And they also knew that not one man in a million understands inflation. So without any doubt at all, yes, they created this whole system understanding what would ultimately happen. The big experiment that was different than historical examples of hyperinflation were that this was the first time where they were attempting to control the rate and speed of inflation. That's why it's lasted this long. So I can say that they're genius for that, but I would also say that's evil genius. And 100%, there's not one doubt in my mind that they created this system to transfer wealth, get workers to work for less, have that invisible inflation tax on the population. Yes, absolutely.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you did, right there down below is the link to sign up to your complimentary wealth strategy call, your gold and silver wealth strategy call with Lynette and her team at ITM Trading to help prepare ourselves as we enter this age of the Great Reset. So it's pinned to the comments and it's in the description right there down below. So go ahead and sign up for your complimentary gold and silver wealth strategy call. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that like button, and I got my baby right there in the back. So have an absolutely great day. Thanks for watching today's episode. We'll see you next time.